What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Dent Digest live show. Thanks for joining us. So, I want to get into last week's show. We had Matt Boyette on, and it was kind of a great episode because I actually had a lot of family members that watched and friends, and they were really intrigued with his story, with him traveling the world with his family, and just a different lifestyle as a hail tech traveling the world. So it was a great episode. I really appreciate Matt coming on. It was a lot of fun, a lot of really good information there, and just a different, unique story. And that was one of the reasons the guests that we have on tonight I wanted to bring on. Um, so we've got a couple events. I want to go over these events. We have the East Coast Northeast Tech Meetup at John Scotto's shop coming up. Make sure you guys do that. They're also having the IMI certification on that Sunday. So if you guys need to sign up for the IMI, you have to go to Anson PDR to sign up. You have Race App New, Jim Mitchell, and a couple other guys' new PDR workshop that they're doing at Jim's shop. It's coming up. I think it's next weekend, not this weekend coming up, but the weekend after that. So if you guys are interested, make sure you go sign up for that. Anson's open house is coming up in April. You know, that looks like a really good event. There's also another tech meetup. David Haxon is putting that one together. I think it's Louisville or one of those, Tennessee. So if you guys are interested in that, look around. It is on Facebook. But I do want to get to this story. We got a lot to talk about, and got an interesting guest. You know, I met him at MTE this year, and super energetic and super excited, and still figuring out the paintless dent repair world. So let me get him on. Mr. Ryan Bunt.
Hey guys.
What's going on, Ryan? How are you, bud?
Good. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing okay. You know, just another Thursday night getting this Dent Digest going. How are you tonight?
Doing well. Doing well. Had a day at a new job. Basically, just kind of switched jobs and pushing dents still, of course. Worked on a Dodge Ram today and had a whole lot of dents all over it and did half of it. So didn't have the whole day to spend on it, but still happy with what I got done.
That's good.
So
That's good. So one saying I actually said to Ryan earlier today, two Ryans, it can't be wrong. It's always right with two Ryans, you know? It's always right.
Always.
So I met Ryan at MTE this year. Like I said, I saw him. He was working some magic with Mr. John Vidine, the Dent Reaper. And when I saw him coming up and I saw some tools popping out, and I'm like, who is this dude, Ryan? I've never seen him before. Where'd he come from? You know, and Vidine's like, oh man, he's a great guy. So I see him at MTE, comes right up, introduces himself, and the nicest guy ever. Energetic, super happy about Paintless. That you were in heaven. You were in absolute heaven.
Oh yeah. Well, I saw you first, so I showed up at the hotel out of my Uber.
Right. That's right.
And I looked around, and I saw RPS Dent Repair shirt. I saw the shirt, so I was like, "Oh, Ryan Shutt's around here," because that's you. It's your company. But who I really saw first was Daniel Grom. I saw the back of Daniel Grom. I just knew that was him, and then I saw his glasses. I was like, okay, I'm really here. These are all the people. And then all of a sudden, there you were, and yeah, I walked right up to you and said hi. You were the first person I introduced myself with and got a picture with. So yeah, I was ecstatic.
You were. It was super cool. It was like, because I rode with Daniel, so you know everybody's just getting there. There's a million people walking around, and you're trying to figure out your bearings. So that was your first MTE.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What was your thoughts?
Oh, that was, well, yeah, best experience probably of my adult life is the way I keep putting it. You know, besides my daughter being born, my fiance, all those good things, you know, just in terms of having fun, being an adult, that was the best time of my life.
Yeah, it was. It was fun.
And you know,
you actually worked for me a little bit, because when I was doing the show, I was like, you're going to sit right there and watch all these tools on this table, because I don't trust all these dent guys. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, you could have trusted him, Ryan. So good.
Yeah, right. You know, tools will be
Yeah.
gone.
No, I know.
So
I know. You were giving away a lot.
I did give away that night. It was actually fun. That was a lot of fun for a lot of guys, and another avenue. So it worked out really well. So let's get into some tools. I'm gonna let you pull up a tool first, and then we're gonna get
Oh
into your
man.
story and get into MTE a little more and kind of dig a little deep. What'd you bring with
Cool.
you?
All right. Well, brought a few things home. I guess well, I brought a lot actually. I gotta say today, well, I got some compliments on this knockdown that I bought from Drew's Tools.
Oh
Let's see
yeah,
here if I can.
yeah.
So it's wooden and it's really nice and it's very light and it's also magnetic here on the end, very magnetic. And I've just gotten a lot of compliments. Anybody who's held it. I went over to Dents Express. They had a small meetup and I showed up there just for a few minutes, about an hour, and anyone that held this just loved it. And for only $20, it was a steal. I don't know if it's still that price, but it's a steal. And I use it. It's great because you can hold it like this with your hand if you want to. If you want just that security instead of just holding it,
Yeah.
like so. But I put these Endeavor tips on there when I knock down with these, and absolutely love them because these don't fit on the ratchet hatchet end
Okay.
to slide in. So I put the Endeavor tips on this, and this is actually what I use all the time now for that.
Yeah, I really
Um,
like those tips.
oh
I
yeah,
was
and yeah,
I'm biased.
John.
Chad and I are friends, and that crown jewel is, I mean, it's a lifesaver. That tool is,
See, I've never used that. John Vadine actually is the one who got me these tips. He bought a couple of them when he had a pre-sale, and actually gave them to me as a gift. Thank you again, John. These have been just amazing. Just the way they can move metal. I just never, I don't know, all the tips I've used. I used, the cherry red tips on the R4. I've used the Ultra tips that have the black uh, push on. I mean, all the soft tips that are out, and they're just different. The way that they can push down metal, you can almost blend metal with it. Like
yeah,
that's not on a rail. It's just weird how they work. You just got to try them, and that's what everyone says, and it's the truth.
it is it's a weird tip that just works. I was a hater. I hated on that crown jewel when he first brought it over. I was like, man, what is this thing? I don't. This thing's never gonna sell. What do we need another hammer for? And I was wrong, and I man up to that. So I'm definitely manning up. You know, uh, manning up to the hating on my buddy's tool. So
Yeah, I have the large tip on the ratchet hatchet, and then on the
yeah,
other end, I got the edgy tools
with the
knocker with
pasty.
the yep. And this is what I used on the bed of the truck I did. I used that in Glexo Cold Brew.
Now,
I bought their full
what is
kit.
your thoughts on the ratchet hatchet?
Okay, I was recommended this by John Vadine, and since I got it, I love it. The only thing I can say is that you can't use it if you're gonna hit something really hard. For some reason, if you're really got to lay into something and hit something hard, it's really not good. You could actually move one of these heads a little bit, but
Yeah,
that's the only thing. It's just you use it as a hammer like you do in PDR, then you're fine. But if you're actually gonna really whack on something, get your actual hammer that you
yeah,
have. Besides that, I love it. I love the adjustability. It's really never failed on me. And having the knockdown in the bottom is, I mean, it's everything I could ask for, really. I love the
yeah,
feel of it. I know you can get one with a ball on the end. I chose not to. I don't know if I should have or not. Again, I'm just getting used to the feel of everything. But I absolutely love it.
yeah, yeah. It's a good. I'm laughing at some of the comments in here, so I'm just, I got my buddy Frank in here talking pit beef. So,
Yeah,
you
yeah, I'm
know,
reading it. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
so I've got a couple tools. I'm gonna pop one in here real quick. Look at
Nice.
this tool.
Yeah,
So
that looks familiar.
this is something that you help fighting. Let's get the story on this. We're gonna run this story, even though I have more tools to go over, but I want to go over this real quick.
Oh
Tell us
yeah.
the story how this came about.
All right. So to make this as short as possible, um, I want to talk about how I met John, got to know John. It's basically I started with a set of Ultra dent tools, just their it's a set my dealership that I worked for before it got me to try to start with, and I didn't have any sharp tools at all for door dings or anything. So I would watch reviews. I don't know who I watched, Jim Mitchell, or I think it was Jim Mitchell, but whoever had the Dent Reaper that was doing stuff with it, I saw it, and that's what I thought. I want to get that tool. That's going to get out these pits that I just can't get. I'd spend forever just trying to get the smallest little pit out of a door, and it would just bug the hell out of me. And then I'd have to send it to the dent company down the street. My manager would say, "Why can't you get that, Ryan?" And I don't know. And I know I probably could. Now I probably could, because I probably wasn't using my light correctly and all other things that I wasn't doing right back then. But still, once I got that Dent Reaper, I was able to find those pits and push them out.
Yeah.
So the reason why I got, and also what was cool is that my fiance got it for me as a surprise. So I didn't even really see it coming. I just kept talking to her about it. I didn't really purchase it. So that's kind of what got John intrigued by me, I think, is that my fiance bought me a dent tool. He was how did you know to buy him a Dent Reaper?
So did she go to Dent Reaper or did she go to A1?
She went to Dent Reaper.
Okay.
So yeah, because she heard me just keep saying Dent Reaper, Dent Reaper. So she Googled it, I believe, or whatever she would do, and found the tool.
That's
and
a good woman. Easy. That's a good woman.
Yeah, she's a good woman
to do the research and buy a dent tool for you.
Oh yeah. And see, what's cool is she's an estimator, so she's in the body world. She sees everything, so we can have great conversations about stuff. But so she got me the tool. That was awesome. It intrigued John, I think, and then I kept tagging him on Instagram. We built a relationship, and long story short, he was at the PDR World Cup in Branson, Missouri last year, and I couldn't make it down there. Go ahead.
I didn't say anything. I'm listening.
Oh, I thought you were about to talk.
No.
Okay. I saw you. Okay.
Missouri.
Yeah. So he was over there, and I couldn't make it. I was at work, and I couldn't make the drive there to go meet him or anything. And I just mentioned to him casually, "Hey, I get some ideas from time to time. I'd like to share with you just about tools." Because I always thought he had the coolest tool design, just Dent Reaper, the whole look of it. I could go on and on thinking about stuff. I just thought it was just so badass, really. So he said, "Well, hey, I'd like to know what you were thinking of." Well, I instantly got out a sheet of paper and I just drew really fast, as quick as I could. I mean, 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds. I drew this thing. I was, whatever. At least that shows the gist of it, the rounded edge and the sharp edge. And I sent him that picture I had that Jim Mitchell's put it on his video when he did a review, but it's out there that you can find.
Yeah, I've seen it. I think there's a picture of you holding it or John holding it. I remember seeing
he held it on one of his shows. Yeah. John held it. And I sent that over to him, and then he sent me back a little picture of an emoji with the brain exploding. And then he said, "I think that can happen, or I think we can make this happen." And I thought, "Oh, okay, well, I didn't know really what that meant." Well, then before I knew it, he said, "Hey, well, we're cutting the first sheet." And I thought, "What do you mean we're cutting?" He got it all the way done and being made that quick. So really, and it's amazing how close it looked to my design. And at the same time, when we talked, he mentioned creating a stronger design to actually form it into that teardrop, the sideways tear. And we didn't know how strong the tool was going to be off the bat. So we just wanted to make sure, in case there was any problem with that claw, that the tear would still be able to handle aluminum or anything like that. But it turns out they both work in their own respective ways.
What I thought was weird is different, not weird, is it's got a flat shaft into the ratchet. Everything else is round. So
to me, that's normal. I don't know. I'm 2 years in.
It was just different for me. I don't have a problem with it at all. When I first saw it, I was like, I've never seen it. It's the first time I've ever seen a flat piece of steel into the ratchet. I didn't even know they could do it.
I didn't know that was odd. So, for me, not being in the industry that long, so.
But it works. I use the teardrop. I'm a big balloon tip. I've been using the balloon tip since Vegas MT. The balloon tip and the tear, which I think you have one there, so people know what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, the tear is right here.
Is they both have their place. That one I like because it is a little sharper when I need to use a sharper edge. the balloon is a little thinner.
Yeah, it is. It is slightly. Notice that.
But the reason it's thinner is because it's forged, so that's the difference on that. But I really like that sharp point at the end because you can kind of finish things a little easier. You know what I mean? It's a little easier to clean some stuff up. Now this, I use this more than I ever thought I was going to use it. I use it a lot on Fords, on the new F-150s, the aluminum F-150s, and go through the hole at the handle. And it's sharp enough and it's shaved enough, almost like a whale tail, to where I can get it up in that brace and just get the little dents that are above the handle.
Nice.
So this thing works really well. The key to it, I think, is this flat shaft. Yes, we're talking about shafts.
Happens a lot, I've noticed, in this industry. You know, it's a constant subject.
But the flat shaft is getting you closer to that panel.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in that hole opening, it's getting it closer instead of it being a round shaft. Look at this. I'm just doing terrible things on here tonight. So
you're in the hole opening with the shaft. It's all right, Ryan. It's cool. It's what we talk about. You know, when I was a detailer, you suck and blow and do all kinds of things all day. It's you know, it is what it is.
So what's the next tool you have?
Oh boy. All right. Well, when I was there, I think everyone knows the whole Stanliner craze that's going on, and I've never had a Stanliner tool, and never held one really until NTE. The first ones I got to hold were in the ones that John had just bought. It was pretty cool to see those. But I bought a crane, just a regular crane tool, and they almost sold out. So it's funny because I talked to S before the show. I met S that works with Stanliner, and I said, "Hey, can you hold a crane for me?" And he was like, "Oh man, we're not gonna run out. Don't worry about a crane." And man, I was standing there in line, and everybody's just getting all these tools, and I saw the cranes just coming off the shelf and going, and ass. I kept yelling his name, and he didn't hear me. But I knew if he could hear me, I'm sure there's nothing he could have done. I had to wait my turn, but still, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna get one." And because then all that were left after the cranes were the fender ones, which is fine. But I just wanted the universal crane to be able to just use for the first time. John Vadine suggested that, and then I've been really happy with it. I ended up getting one, which was great, and I've used it all over the place. Quarter panels, doors, the bedside on the truck I was doing today, I got it in there, and it's just amazing. I don't know, I really like it, but I kind of shove it in places maybe it shouldn't even go sometimes. But
just try it.
It's really cool. I like the shape of it and what you end up pushing with it.
Will it fit in a half-inch hole? We're talking about the
this
your tool. This one, I think.
Oh, that will. Oh yeah.
Yes, this will fit in a half-inch hole. And that is Mr. Matt from Get a Grip. He's an avid watcher, big supporter. So
Get a Grip.
I'm gonna bring on something that I had the original set and I got the new set at MTE. And this is John's stuff from Guard Tech, the gloves, his new gloves that he came out with this year, the updated version. And let me tell you, I had the old pair. They did pretty good. I'm in love with these. I may wear these to bed tonight. They're so comfortable. The padding's just right. He has a lighter padding and a heavier padding one. They're just really comfortable. It's kind of a suede material now. He knocked it out of the park. There's no doubt. I mean, unbelievable, comfortable. I've been wearing them since I got back. They fit really well. They're airy. They kind of have like a jersey material throughout the top here. I mean, they're just, John, you did a great job. You really did. I mean, he wins every Dent Olympics, so he should figure out.
I gotta say, it's his wife. He told me that specifically. It's his wife that deserves some congratulations here. I gotta say that.
Look at
he told me that at NTE. He said that she's a lot of the magic with those gloves is his wife.
She did a great job.
Yeah,
she did a great job.
Great. I'm sure he has his input. I know,
Oh yeah, but this has like I don't know. The materials are
It's got
just
to have a woman's touch, right? To be that soft to want to sleep in them, right?
way more. It's just nicer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a nice, comfortable. I mean,
I want to get some now. Jeez, I don't even want to wear
I'm
my old ones.
I'm telling you right now, these things, I can't even talk about them anymore.
Oh, that's great. Oh man.
So go ahead. What do you
Did you
got
want me to?
next?
Oh, another one. So this I was told is kind of an OG tool. It's PDR Finesse. I got their triple bend. I
Oh
believe it's
yeah,
3/8. The triple bend fender tool. It even has these cool little
tip
nuts on
holders.
here. You can put some tips. Yeah,
Yeah,
that they welded on. And then I bought this. Like I'll just put it up there.
almost like a
Whale
fender
tail.
edge, like a
Yep.
fender tip.
Yep. The whale tail basically
Yeah.
to push out body lines. And I saw that Drew's Tools also has one that's similar, but it's just comes out. I guess it's more just like a tip, and it just has the edge like that. You could fit it in more holes. I saw the Drew's Tools one. Now I'm interested to get that one and try it. I really like that. It's helped a couple times already on body lines. That's one of my tough, one of the tough things for me. I'm sure it's tough for a lot of
Oh,
people.
I mean, it's it's everything. You know what I mean? It's all. My wife's telling me that I'm not wearing those gloves to bed tonight, so I got shot down.
Oh man.
So you know, it tools are. It's tough. You know, the stand liner tools are tough for me too. I love the stand liner hand tools that he has. The wires, the bendable wires and stuff. Oh my gosh, man! If you see those at an event, buy them because they're not
Really?
there. I went this year. I went to go buy another set for Shane at MT this year, and he didn't make them. So
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
his hand tools are phenomenal. Daniel Grom uses them on his tanks all the time. They're great tools.
Hmm.
I tell Thomas all the time, their tools are the Ferrari, the quality, the material. Um, you know, but there's so many options out there. S is only like an hour away from me, and he was on the show a couple months ago, and man, that dude is a ball of knowledge of.
Oh man, I love S. He's probably one of my favorite. Yeah. I met a lot of cool people at MTE. I can't even say they're all one of my favorite people. I guess that was too much fun. So, but anyway, I love S. He's great. He's great.
So I guess am I up or you up? I'm up, right? Look at that.
But yeah, I can keep. Yeah, I can keep making conversation about all these tools. Yeah, go ahead.
Trifecta
Oh
glue
man.
gun. So I had Daniel 2 weeks ago telling me, well, you didn't even take it out of the package yet. So I started using it. I got the DeWalt adapter with it. Fantastic glue gun. The eco mode works really well. We had this run all day, one battery, never died. Doesn't drip, doesn't ooze. Does a really, really good job. Really comfortable in the hand. Great job, Eliminate, Anson, and TDN. So quick and easy. Great glue gun. Great guys. I mean,
And see, I use a Surebonder plug-in glue gun that the trigger's broken, so it stays on all the time. It doesn't do the auto off, which is kind of cool for me.
nothing
And I
wrong
have
with
to use
that.
my thumb. I push my own glue through. So I see that, and yeah, that man, definitely need to get one of those because I drip all day long. I'm dripping
It's oh,
all day.
he's dripping. Look at that.
Yeah,
All right.
all day.
So let's get into your story a little bit.
Cool.
So, how did you get into paintless dent repair? What intrigued you to get into paintless dent repair? Who trained you, and kind of roll into the story?
Okay, right before I do that, I just want to send a shout out to Zandy Humphrey for giving me these two square root beer 2.0 tabs that I don't even know if he watches this show, but either way, we met him at NTE. A couple guys met him. Zandy, Andy with a Z. He gave me these to try out, and they saved my life today on a door. And also, Michael with Dent Sorcery that's on the show right now. I just wanted to give a shout out to him because he's great guy that's coming out on his own, just started his own business, and I'm sure he's gonna have a great story too one of these days.
That's the best part about this is watching guys.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Josh in here. He just started. He was watching the show, and um, I met him at MTE, and just some of these guys that are just starting and getting out there and really trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? It's the best part
Mm-hmm.
about this business is you can get to meet people that are struggling in different areas. You know what I mean? Guys that are figuring it out or guys that have been through it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, and then Michael, I know he's been doing it for a while, but either way, him and I have talked, and hey, I know he came on there and said, "Congrats for my new job," and thanks, Michael. And just want to give a shout out to him because he does great work. He was the Ashen One Sorcerer of PDR. That's why he stood out to me because that name I thought was so
It's a
cool.
great
The
name.
Ashen One, yeah. But now he's Dent Sorcery. That's the name of his company, which is great too. So, and he does do a lot of cool Dent Sorcery for sure if you check him out. But yeah, so back to me. I didn't want to interrupt you. You wanted
Oh,
me to
you're
tell you
fine.
exactly how I got
Yeah, just
into.
take your time, kind of go through
Cool.
and
So, well, ever since I was a kid, I loved cars. So I've always loved cars and been around them. So I basically started as a detailer, and I detailed for many years. And I was into car products detailing. Eventually, that took me into eventually working on cars, where I was a technician at a dealership, Toyota dealer, just a Toyota technician, working on them day in day out. And then one of my assistant manager came to me and said, "Hey Ryan, do you want to learn PDR?" Well, that just took me back to when I was a detailer, and I'd go to all these lots. I was a mobile detailer, so I'd go to homes and dealerships, and every time I'd show up at a dealership, I'd be there detailing, and a lot of times I have to share space with, or sometimes even move out for a dent guy. To
mhm.
go outside and work on that car. He's got to do hail or whatever, and I would always be interested, but I was always told, "You'll never learn, you'll never know, don't
Takes
even
too
try."
long.
And
Yeah.
oh yeah, but and also I saw guys, put like a cloak over where they worked. I saw guys literally do that and work so you couldn't see. I said, what is that guy doing? Oh, he's doing dent repair. I mean, I saw that happen here, and
I
I
did
said,
that
oh,
years
okay.
ago. I mean,
You
that
did
was an
you did
old
it
thing.
yourself?
Back in the day, we used to have to hide and not let anybody see our secrets and
Yeah, yeah. So I watched. Yeah, I saw it happen. And he said, "Do I want to learn?" I said, "Well, yeah." And I don't know if it was the best training, but I was given the opportunity to do it by a dealership, and they bought me a set of tools at the time, and gave me a great basis to learn. And I had a whole lot of cars to practice on with constant wholesale cars coming in and going out, and it was a great experience.
yeah.
And it basically phased out there, and I had to leave. But um, what what really I best way to put it. Go ahead.
So they train you in-house at the dealer, correct? How
That's the thing that
long?
I was gonna. Yeah, that's what I was gonna highlight on is that I was trained by someone that went to a training facility. I don't know which one.
Okay.
Um, so I was trained by him for 1 week. Uh, I think it was 5 days, 4 or 5 days, um, and just did some basic stuff. Then I was sitting back to the dealership, and I kind of struggled for months. I don't know if it was maybe 3 or 4 months, something like that. And I went to my manager and said, I think I did a couple customer cars actually and worked
Yeah.
on them, and I didn't actually screw anything up. Well, I did. Okay, I did. There were some really I yeah, I can think
How
of
was
some
your
things I
stress
did
level?
very high, but I loved
Yeah.
it though. The thing is that I loved it because I knew I was learning and I knew I was getting it.
Yeah.
I knew I would. It seemed like a challenge I wanted to do it so bad. I just wanted to fix the dent, and I would be so hard on myself. And there were times when I would try to maybe I would try too hard. I would uh I would have somebody tell me it looked okay, and I'd be like, no, it's not done, it's not done, which to this day I would still do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're trying to
Yeah,
learn a new trade
yeah.
and
And finally went to my manager and I said, look, I'm not getting something. Because I had to keep sending cars to the dent company down the street to finish the dent. Because porters would tell me they would show up in the car I had, and then they'd hear them in the back. well, why'd they give this to us? Well, why is he even pushing? He shouldn't even be pushing dents. What's he doing? Why is he even doing this? Like, there's so and then that just was like, well, what am I doing? Should I really be doing this? And it's funny because that same guy, it's not him that this is all hearsay though, so I don't really know what was being said or who was saying what when they were there, if it was women in the office or the guys in the back or what. But it's funny because that same place, the guy there that in the beginning, he was kind of standoffish with me because I took his business. One of us was going to, no matter what, they were going to take an employee from the dealership and make him a PDR tech.
Of
So
course.
either way, the guy was going to lose some business. Well, he was a little standoffish in the beginning. I mean, very nice, but didn't want to disclose anything, didn't want to tell me anything. And I understood that, but I just felt so alone, so alone. And I mean, I
Well, I
totally
mean,
understood where he was because he had to fight for that account. And I know it was not easy to have.
and that's the hard
So,
part is when you're out there, you're struggling, you have a little bit of training, and you're just trying to figure it out. In this dent world, okay, you can have guys that are over your shoulder watching you, but at the end of the day, you're by yourself. This is you against that dent,
mm,
and I'm an experienced tech and I've been doing it for a long time. Some of these dents I look at and I go, what in the hell was I thinking? And I get halfway through a dent and I've got 3 hours in it and I'm like, this is never going to come out. Never going to come out. Stress levels up. The phone's ringing. I'm walking around. I'm like, I could be making money over here. Could be making money over here. But I am getting my butt kicked on this one dent. So even if you get experience and you work for the next 10 years, 15 years doing this, you're going to feel the same way.
and that's fine. And that's because I enjoyed that stress. It
Yeah.
was something about it that it keeps you going. That's what makes you want it. It's like why people jump out of planes. It's kind of
Yeah.
like it's almost like a weird high in a way because you got to go, you got to do it, and you can work the metal. You just got to, and sometimes that's when the magic happens. That's when all of a sudden, when the stress level's that high, it'll all of a sudden start coming
Click.
together for you. Or something terrible happens. That's what we never want. But yeah, so I went to my manager finally and said, look, I need more help. I can't keep, I was embarrassed. I just kept sending stuff down the street. And long story short, also that technician came around and now we're good friends. So,
That's cool.
and what I think that is that it was the universal love of PDR that's kind of going around that I
Yeah.
experienced at MTE. He hadn't felt that yet. And he wasn't exposed to any of this online stuff, didn't know about any of this really. And and that's why I didn't blame him. And he wasn't mean to me. So anyway,
Well, I think it's,
it was a
and I've been there. When another
yeah.
dent guy comes on your lot, you're not happy. You're not happy. You know what I mean?
No.
It's a threat. He's taking money out of my pocket. But at the end of the day, your situation was unique. It wasn't like you work for another company and you were coming in there. They were going to hire somebody.
Yeah.
So it was either you or somebody else. So he was going to feel the
Mm,
same way no matter who it was, you
exactly.
know.
And I'm happy that now he has that account back because now that I'm gone, then they're all back together. So anyway, I just I'm really thankful that I got to learn what I did. Uh, but what happened is we actually brought back the guy who trained me. Um, Richard Jackson is his name. I haven't seen him online or anything anywhere, but I think he's out pushing dents somewhere. But anyway, he came back and trained me again, and he trained me well. I mean, for the short time we had, I mean, you can't. It's so hard to teach
It
in
is.
such a short amount of time. So I think he did a good job with what he had with me, and he saw where I struggled. And when he came back in town, that's when I was having trouble with using sharp metal. I was getting sharp metal tips out when I shouldn't have, and pushing on metal I shouldn't have, and leaving high spots when it's not ready for that. And he showed me how to just I was using plastic tips for knockdowns. Well, he's like, no, take this sharp plastic tip, push with this, put some tested tape on it, push with this tip.
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh my gosh. And I was ended up, I still to this day, I'll use a plastic tip or the brown, whatever that stuff's called. This,
Root beer.
yeah, root
Yeah.
beer. I'll push with
And
those.
I think the other thing is when you get in there, and Shane's going through it right now, you get to that point of, I want to get this dent out. I got the tip there, and you're trying to figure out how hard to push. Sometimes you push too hard. Sometimes it's almost, and I try to explain this to Shane, deep breath, slow down,
Yeah, it's your breathing too. Yeah.
and just mentally figure it out. I'm a big when Shane first started with me, he would look at me and be like, "Something's wrong with this dude." Because I'm a 360 looker. I'm looking up at the den. I'm looking around. I'm trying to figure out what is going on. And it's the same thing when you're new. When you're new, you're trying to figure out where you need to push, how you need to push, what tool you need. That's half the battle because you could grab 10 tools and they're not going to work. Or you're struggling and you need a tool that's going to make your life easier. So, your pain when you're starting is just trying to figure out the basics.
Yeah, the great example was the root beer tabs that I had, the square tabs. So I had right on the edge of a Dodge door, this big Dodge Ram. It had these they're sharp two dents right on top of each other that almost made a crease, and they were pretty sharp, kind of not. I wouldn't call them super deep, but I went in and I was able to get the little Red Reaper was able to get in there and touch it, and I made two little high spots, and I thought, okay, I don't want to do any more because hey, that metal's too tight. I'm gonna try glue pulling. Well, I used my Kiko. I used a bunch of different Kiko stuff, the dead centers, the ice ones, and the regular ones. I used just the normal Kiko stuff. I was always big on using Daniel Graham's hog tabs lately, and I didn't grab those for some reason, probably because I'm set up differently in a new place, but for some reason I thought to use those tabs and they pulled so hard. I should have never used a tool, and it ended up making the repair not look as good as it would have
Yeah.
if I would have only used glue.
And it was
So
probably because of those two
just
pushes.
oh, exactly. Those two pushes are what
Yeah.
made it. Yeah. Well, and I tooled around with it more. I used glue. I got it to move up some. I came in with a tool again. I tried to do it with a tool. I ended up making it not look near as good, but I used a blending hammer. The PDR Finesse $25 blending hammer is what taught me so much about blending. That's what I'd suggest to anybody to buy. If you want to learn blending or don't know it yet or anything, that's what I used. And it's $25. And I mean, it's just the way the handle fits. I didn't bring it home. That's what I should have brought.
Yeah.
Just talking about general tools. But that's what taught me so much about blending. I used that on the door and just kept doing glue pulls, and it ended up smoothing out pretty nice. But not I could still see where it would have been much nicer if I only used glue. Just going back to what you said, knowing the right tools to use for the
Yeah.
situation.
And there's some stuff that, I just got the crease killer at MTE.
Oh, I want that
And
so bad.
I kind of bought the kit. I kind of pieced it together because I had some robo lifters and stuff. And I used it this week on a crease, a really gnarly crease on a Subaru. And I was amazed how much it brought up, even through the body line, how much it brought up at one pull. Boom. And I was just shocked. Shane and I looked at each other and we were like, where the hell has this been my whole life? Like, I would have regularly gone in, pushed most of it, maybe glued the body line a little bit. You're always learning. You're going to keep learning,
Yeah, because creases are terrible. I mean, I'm sure everybody agrees with that, especially pushing them. And that's what I had to do on that bedside, and I used that Stanliner tool to do it. Just pushing through the top, and for some reason that worked better than a lot of the other stuff I had, and I couldn't fit some of my rods in there weren't long enough. So
So you're at the dealer. The guy comes, retrains, kind of works with you with some different stuff.
mhm. Then I felt better about it. Then I think then is probably when I shortly after that I started my Instagram, the Dent Guy Rye on Instagram, and I remember my first like was Lee Shuri, the Dent Ding
What
King.
a great guy.
Isn't it Dent Ding King? Isn't that his name? Or is
Yeah.
he Dent? Okay.
He's actually in here. He's watching.
Yep.
So I met Lee to Orlando MT ago, and just
He wasn't at the last one, was he?
no.
Okay. Because
The
I wanted to give him a hug.
absolutely nicest guy ever. Just a genuine nice guy. He's an older guy too. The guy's out there hustling and
Oh yeah.
pushing dents. So
And
what a
looked like he
great,
was a detailer before, which
yeah.
I can relate with that. And I'll just never forget. So I put whatever I put up. I don't know if it was a Sequoia. I think I put up was my first thing. of a dent, and I put hashtags afterwards because I said, okay, I guess I got to do these hashtag things. I'll figure this out. And as I was doing it, it would tell me how many are hashtags. Okay, well, I'll pick these out. Okay, cool. So I put them there, and then I see, he liked my post, and I was like, what? Cool. I got a like. So another dent guy liked my work. That's cool. Like, because I haven't talked with any dent guys. I was the only person doing dents, and I didn't have another dent guy to look at my work or critique me or look at how I was pushing a dent or anything. All I had was online, which was actually Chris Ray,
Oh yeah.
you,
Yeah.
and Davo. That's the U3 is where I started, and it was Chris Ray's his videos that
Yeah.
he would do of just pushing dents. I remember those were the first ones I watched. Shortly after that, then it was Dent Tools Freak. Isn't that what Jim Mitchell was? Was
Yeah.
Dent
Yeah.
Tools
Yeah.
Freak?
Yeah.
And then he became Real World PDR, and then his videos. That's kind of what's taught me the most. And Mike Toledo, of course, his the
Then
Dent
trainer.
Time. What's his Dent Trainer? Dent Trainer.
Yeah.
All that stuff gets jumbled in my head, but yeah, that's what taught me the most. Mike Toledo, Chris Ray, and Jim Mitchell are the main
Nice.
teachers of where I've gotten where I am so far.
That's awesome. That's it's it's cool that that's out there because, and I've said this in multiple shows. When I started, we didn't have all this.
No,
Everything was
that's it.
hidden.
Yeah.
It's crazy how fast. It's scary how fast the new guys are learning, and how fast the tool innovation of stuff that we didn't have. We had shitty tabs using denatured alcohol with Walmart glue because we thought it was the best. It's just crazy how it's changed. It's just the innovation's amazing. The technology and the information out there, Facebook and Instagram and all these forums and YouTube and university. I mean, I met a guy a couple MTEs ago, Scott Simpson. He learned paintless dent repair 100% off of Dent Trainer. 100%. That's
Yeah, there's a few out there I think that are repping that I mean do great work. I mean, I can't remember their names, but yeah,
it's crazy.
they're out there.
So you're working through the dealer, you're doing your thing. What happens?
Oh yeah, so yeah, started Instagram, working at the dealer. Really everything seemed to be going fine. At the dealer. I basically right now was just at a turning point, had to switch. So the dealer has a warranty set up that they if you have a new car within 1 to 3 years, depending on what you pay or you get for free from buying a new car, you get dent ding coverage. A lot of that work I would do, and just now they stopped us from doing that. So I just basically kind of got phased out at the dealership. It's all kind of a corporate thing.
Yeah.
My man, it wasn't a personal thing there. So I basically just had to find somewhere else to go.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at, why I'm at where I'm at now. And what's funny is what I was going to say is you were talking about tools back then. And that's what I keep saying to anyone that's, when they say, oh, I'm a 20-year tech, I really look at those guys and I just think, wow, like how much you struggled. Like 10-year techs. I don't know. I just can look at somebody like that and just think, wow, you must have struggled so hard so many times. I mean, because you had no one to ask, nowhere to look, not for even one like bit of an inch of anything. Because I could go on YouTube and just search for videos and try to find something looks similar and watch somebody pushing a dent somewhere that might give me some kind of a glimmer of, oh, maybe I should do that, or oh, I need to move my light board, or what if there was bound up metal there?
Yeah.
I don't know, something that would make you think, but you had nothing but just yourself, and you're there with a dent, and you're just stuck with a dent.
And that's all though. So you do struggle, but so I still have some of my original stuff that when I first started, and when Shane first started, I held this thing up and he goes, "What is that?" And I was like, "This is what I learned dents on." And he's like, "What?" It's like this D214 Dent Wizard tool, and it's just like a piece of 1/2-inch swoop metal that you could bend all over the place, and round tip, nothing sharp. And now you have stuff that's super sharp, glue tabs, special, the dead center crease tabs and the dead center regular dent tabs. Unbelievable. Those tabs Unbelievable.
When I first started, the guy who trained me was showing me glue pulling, and he would show me how, oh yeah, you get it down to a pit this small. There's really nothing else you can do with glue
Yeah.
pulling. Or, you just can't get them out the rest of the way. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, then those came about, and all of a sudden that wasn't that big of a deal. And I know you can still do the thing where you, what do you call it? Not blend it out, but you tap it out around the
Oh
center and
yeah.
you make it larger, huge pit, then pull it all up, and you can eventually get those out.
Yeah.
But it's just a huge process. But to be quick about it, usually leave a small pit. Well, now with the dead centers, you don't.
Now you just turn
It's
them inside out. You know?
yeah. Now it's hey, don't pull too much. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. Those
But
tabs are amazing.
the old tools, so the guy I work for now, he has ancient stuff. Like ancient, I say just because it was the beginning. It was their A1 tools. He has the old original set, but he showed me how he had made his own interchangeable tips. He I don't know exactly what he did, but he welded something on the end. I'm sure it was a nut that you could screw in, but then he was forming his own tips to, be able to do certain jobs,
Yeah.
on certain things. But that's how you had to do it back then, is literally just make your own stuff. And then I'm telling him the stuff that we have now, and he's like, "Oh my God, well, I was thinking of this." And he told me about how he had multiple places or a thing going, I think with the Jiffy Lube or something like that, where they were trying to add in dent removal there, look at a car,
Yeah.
do dents there. Well, he was forming an actual program. So you know how they have those inventory scanners
Mhm.
for shops? Well, I guess that's kind of what he got in touch with a guy that had those. They were touchscreen at the time. This was in the 90s. And this guy made a program literally where you could look at the hood, how many dents, what's the size, this dollar amount. It was almost like a Mobile Tech RX in the 90s.
Yeah.
They had all this back then and they were going with, and then they ended up kind of phasing out. It didn't work with the Jiffy Lubes. It was, well, of course, if you think about it, it was pulling away from their money.
Yeah.
If you think about it, they want to get the flushes and all that stuff
Yeah. They want to
sold.
get in and out.
They're going to spend $200 on a dent. No, you just took our money from us. We want to sell them something else.
True.
So it ended up not working, but great idea, I think. And it's him just seeing Mobile Tech RX now. He's already had that and been using it, but just hearing about how the ideas that I think were around that couldn't be brought to light. And I'm sure there's so many other hidden ideas and tools out there that techs have that don't know about this yet, that don't know that you can bring them to light.
Now, what are you using for a light?
I don't know what brand it is. So my large light is an A1 tool light. They're about $600, and I don't know the brand. I don't know if it's A1's own light or not, but it doesn't say anything on the back. And I really have no idea what brand it is, but it's about, I think, 48 inches. And then I have an Elimident, the 2.0.
Okay.
And it's a smaller one though. So
the 14-inch. Okay.
Yeah, the 14. And then I have a Ultra that's longer, but that was one of the first lights I had, and it keeps moving. The stand for it just doesn't hold anymore.
Okay.
It just keeps falling. So
yeah.
Movable.
Lock line.
Yeah, lock line. There you go. Well, it doesn't have a lock line. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, you know the ones that don't have the screw-ins. Yeah.
So what are as you're still learning and still trying to figure this industry out and figure out, what do you struggle with on the daily in your average repairs, average business thing? What is your biggest struggle right now?
Right now, I'd say, well, like on the door today, if it's a dent that's in a really hard place to access with tight metal, like in that situation there, I knew I had to use a tab. I knew I needed to pull the metal up to be able to get my tool in there to push that out the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Or just use glue to go all the way. Well, I ended up going in with a tool ahead of time. I should have been more patient with it, tried more glue tabs or tried a few more options before trying to shove a tool in and push it up. And then that affected the outcome of the repair. Yesterday, I worked on I think with me, some of it is literally the amount of tools. I can't imagine being someone that has all these tools to choose from, because even with what I have now, sometimes I feel like I have too many to choose from for a repair, and I don't have that big of a set of tools. And I think sometimes that'll screw me up. I want to try a new tip or do this or do that, and then I end up thinking, oh, I just should have stuck with what I knew or the way I knew that was going to push. So I started with it was the first version of a pivot tip I started on a dent yesterday with, and I was using the person I work for's light, which was a chubby light. I know the brand of that light, and the
Oh,
light on
PDR.
that, yeah, large chubby PDR light, and it's the light's much finer,
Yeah.
the lines,
The fog.
and the fog. Yeah, and mine's I'm used to a larger, I guess, fog area on mine. It's what I noticed. So I wasn't really comfortable with how I was pushing, but I still started, and I pushed it, and I pushed right in the middle of it, but I pushed too high, and I made kind of a volcano effect. And I was fighting that all the way to the end when I had to kind of push on it and then tap it down with a blending hammer to get that high to come down finally
Yeah.
towards the end. But I think that affected the whole repair. I think with me, it's what I struggle with every day is I think having the direction, and it's knowing when I'm finished with the dent. When
Yeah.
is it done? Like, so being able to look at something and think, okay, I don't even want to see a wave on a panel. Like when I look at it all the way down the side of a panel, I don't want to see a wave or anything. Is what I try. That's what I go for.
Yeah.
Sometimes I found out if you got a really deep dent and you're not using a hot box or anything, sometimes you're going to have a high or low left that you got
Yeah.
to pick which one
Sometimes
you
it's
want.
stretched. You know,
Yeah, it's
sometimes
stretched,
it is what it is. You know, I
and I'm
think
learning that. That's
and I
I
think
don't know.
I've got the same problem. You know, I've got the same problem of just stop and leave it alone. It's the best it's gonna get. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's that point of knowing when to stop. Because I'll overspend a lot of time on a dent that no one's ever gonna see.
I do. Yeah, yeah.
But I think
But
your thing is your approach. You know, you need to work on that part of figuring out, okay, this is what we're gonna do, or glue's gonna start it, or this is, you know, another tool's gonna start it, which is hard because I try to explain this to everybody in our business that doesn't do work in our business. It's not like an average job. Okay, you go to work, you're working in at a body shop, you're an estimator. It changes every day with an accident, but it's somewhat the same thing. You know, you're replacing a fender, you're replacing a bumper. Um, but accidents are different. You know, quarters, dents are different. It's a lot of like there. But when you're a parts person, you're ordering parts. You're ordering parts, and it's just parts every day. Our job, the car is different. Not one of the dents are the same. Even
like
hail.
fingerprints or snowflakes. Yeah.
Yes, you know, it's it's hard. You know, it's hard to kind of always get that approach. You know, and one thing that I do, like with Shane, when he first started riding with me, he learned the tools. He learned the handle colors, what they did, what they were. Um, and he just said it a week ago. He's like, man, that made life so much easier. Because now when he's pushing, he knows what this tool is, what application.
So he started with you as what like an R
Like
and
a
I guy
helper.
and kind of watched you and helped. Okay, so as he was doing that, he would watch you and learn your tools. Okay, yeah,
Yes.
that would definitely help. Especially it would help him, yeah, to know what to grab kind of for this situation, and he sees you do it on the regular as well. So
Exactly.
like today on the bedside, this crane tool I would use I didn't think to even stick it in there, but the holes for the bed cap were so small I couldn't get the tools I wanted to get in there. So that fit in there, and then all of a sudden I'm using the sharp end of it, this rounded end, but it's so sharp right here. And I mean it gave me great pushes. I pushed out a crease about that long and then a bunch of other little dents, and I was really happy with it. But again, it makes me think about how I need to buy more tools. It's just more and more tools you constantly have to buy. Now, because I never did a lot of bedsides at a Toyota dealer. Tundras, I didn't have a lot of bedside Tundra dents. I just never
Yeah.
did. I would get door dings, but Tundra metal is really thick. I mean, I
Yeah.
whenever it would dent really big usually.
What else are you struggling with?
Oh, deep pits. I think
Yeah.
I there was a Instagram post I did. It was a Chevy door that had a really deep dent down the middle of it, and it had full access, I believe, to it. Wasn't a problem there, but I could not see my tip. No matter where I put my light, that my large light. I mean, I could have it next to it, but then I still wouldn't see. I found that if I have my light right next to the dent and I'm looking down at it, really, it's like I have to have it a certain length away to really see my fine tip, to
Yeah.
really see that and see it moving there. It has to be that perfect, well, a certain distance and then further, and then you're fine. But if it's just this black hole, which is what I kept getting, that I can't see anything in, and then even when I get it full of light, I can't see my tip. I didn't know what to do, so I started doing glue pulls to pull up the metal, and it worked. I slowly did some glue pulls on this pit because it was a pretty big pit in the middle, and pulled it up. And I ended up getting the dent out, but I had a couple comments saying I would have just pushed from the beginning. And I've heard that a few times on some deep dents that I've gotten. I'll get those comments. I would have just started with a tool and pushed it out. And I
Yeah.
always think, like, how are you going to really know where you're pushing when it's that tight, that sharp, of a pit? Because if you push on that with a tool or a sharp tip, which I think you have to use when it's like that, if
Yeah.
not, you're just going to
And and,
bulge out the rest of the metal with it.
and I
How are
think
you not going to miss?
sometimes you're just gonna have to keep hitting that center. You're gonna prick it up.
Yeah,
If it's that sharp, like a BB dent, I prick every BB dent up. I
you really
hate
got
them.
no. Yeah.
They're the
Oh
worst.
yeah, no, yeah, they require a lot of patience and yeah, you got to control your breathing because you're trying to find that fine
Yeah.
little I mean, I call it a micromillimeter is what I always say to people because it's kind of what it is. I mean, you can't imagine how small of a space you're working on until you take a step back and look and think, God, was that really that big of a deal pushing that little thing out? But
Yes.
it
Yeah.
made
It
all the
was,
difference in the dent when it's that one low you've been chasing the whole time.
it's it gets it blows your mind. A lot of times I'll walk away. I'll get up, walk away, and kind of feel okay, come back and you're regrouped. If you're really struggling to try to hit that spot, you're hitting everywhere around it. I'll step away and just kind of regroup myself and then get in there. One good thing that energizes me, and this is kind of off topic of your struggles, is guys like you that are so enthusiastic and so passionate to get into this industry. And, it was just a pleasure talking with you and hanging out with you at MT because you were all about it. Like you were just like you were like a sponge because everything was just coming at you, and we were going to bed at 2 or 3 in the morning, and you know what I mean. It's a
Well, yeah, and I
long
didn't drink. Yeah, like the whole time I was there, I didn't have a sip of alcohol, and
no,
I could have probably had so many free drinks. I mean, everybody's drinking, and I just was soaking it in. It was crazy. I stopped drinking about 6 months ago or so, and I just know if it was before then, I would have probably still been up at 2 or 3, but I don't know if I would have remembered what was happening, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
Uh, but it was an amazing time. Like when I was at the Stanliner booth, S got me in a picture with Kaz, and after I took the picture, he took his crane tool that he had and kind of showed me how to use it. He
yeah,
didn't do the whole deal where he gets behind me and shows me, which that would have whatever. But either way, he did that. And I mean, I was choked up. I literally had tears. I just felt so much emotion, just a guy with that much passion around me. And I mean, I know I got some passion, but I mean, he really loves his tools. Like I was watching him. I luckily got a Ryan Hampton kind of hooked me up and told him, hey, he's with me, and let me see everybody setting up MTE. I kind of got a backstage pass, kind of, and he brought me in there, and I was walking around and I got to see them setting up and to see Kaz looking at his tools,
yeah.
just each individual row he just would stare at, and I mean, just
I know
I mean, to make sure they're perfect. And I mean, because each tool, they're hand making, I get it, but I felt it right there just looking at that, like, wow, I mean, that's amazing. And then all of a sudden he's showing me how to use this tool, and I had to walk outside, walk to my room. I was choked up. I had tears in my eyes. I mean, I absolutely love this business and all the people in it. Everybody's just great, and
yeah.
everybody's kind of crazy. I love that. Everybody's just a little crazy in their own way, really sarcastic. I just love the community of people. I mean,
What
it's
was your
great.
thought on the PDR playground, the tool time playground? Did you go over there and try?
I did. I went over there, and Daniel Graham actually showed me the balloon tip there. He actually gave me a whole demo on it because I had never touched it, felt it, used it, seen it a bunch, but never used it. Because that's really one of the main things that made me think of the claw, is that
Yeah,
I saw the balloon tip, and then I think PDR Finesse had their lollipops, and
yeah,
I think that was it. And then I just was thinking, well, okay, they're pushing with that. I didn't even know how it pushed. I had never used it, but I was just thinking, wouldn't you want to have a sharp tip? Just because in my own mind, I remember how I would push with that just half moon edge or the circle. What do you call that edge? What's the
Like a round
standard?
head.
A round edge. Yeah, a
Yeah,
round tip. There
yeah,
you go. I would push with that, and I would always be left with that pit. So I thought, well, why not add a sharp tip to the end? And that's when I thought of the cool look of that, with the Dent Reaper logo, and
yeah,
that's why I sent that to John. That was what was in my head. So uh, that's kind of how it all came. So Daniel showed me the tip and or sorry, not the tip, the balloon, and glassed out this dent on a hood, and I mean, did a great job. I mean, I can see how it's forged the way it works. I mean,
yeah,
there's no movement. I mean, you can still get the sharp stuff out with that as well. It's just not that pinpoint sharp, but
yeah.
it's very, very detailed, the balloon tip, and
And a
that
lot of
was
guys
really
are
cool.
down with the sharp tips now. That's like
Yeah,
the new thing, which is I'm a sharp tip guy. I
yeah. Well, like Hummert says, Rick Hummert, he said that all of his tools, he makes them with round tips. He likes round tips, I think, but he's like,
yeah,
everybody likes sharp, so these are all sharp. But I
yeah,
think, but I think he'd probably hook you up with a round one if you wanted it in one of his tools.
yeah. He's an old Dent Windsor guy, so
Is he?
that's
Okay.
what we learned with. We learned with
Well, yeah.
every
How did
tool
you get
that
the pin? How'd you get the pits out? Like, how much did you struggle with pits? Why don't you tell me? I mean, was
you
that
just
a?
kept pushing. I mean, it
Well,
just
yeah, I
kept
know
pushing.
that. I know
Um,
that.
just sharp just for me is speed. It really
Hmm.
makes me faster. Just makes me quicker. There's a lot of times I use a sharp tip when I really shouldn't, but I've pushed a couple dents, so we I
Oh yeah,
can
it still works. It's all about the finesse,
yeah. Well, look,
definitely.
I appreciate you coming on here. Anything else you want to go over while you're
One last thing I do want to say is John Vidine. I got to give a huge shout out to him. He's my best friend in the PDR industry, a really good friend of mine in real life, and he made it possible for me to get to MTE. And I I love the guy. He's a great guy, and
is?
if you use his tools, if you like his tools, tag him on Instagram because he loves that, and he'll always help you anytime you have problems or even a question about a dent or anything. I mean, he's always there. I didn't realize how much he's there for you. As a
Yeah,
guy that makes tools, but he's out there pushing dents and he's there for you. And he's a great guy to talk
he
to. And
is a
I can't say enough
funny
about him.
as hell.
Oh yeah,
That dude.
and you got to handle the sarcasm. So that's the thing.
My wife, she
Got to
watched
handle
the
that.
live show from MT and she goes, I could get down with that guy. She's like, he's just chill. He just doesn't care. I'm like, John's awesome. John's
Oh yeah,
awesome.
you should see him just come up and order food somewhere. That's pretty hilarious. I mean, just to be on par with him. He's uh he's a great guy.
Well, it's awesome, like I said before, to watch a guy like you that has so much passion and so much enthusiastic and just love your new passion for this industry, and it's just really good. It's great to see new guys like you that are coming up, bringing tool innovation to the market, and it's passion, man. I mean, it's the same thing like with when I'm doing this show. It's I just enjoy it. That's all it is. You know what I mean? It's fun. You know,
Oh, it
uh,
really is.
look at that
Oh,
Shut Post Bunts Instagram name. Yeah, how can people get a hold of you? Like, what is your handles? You're gonna get a bunch of friend
the
requests.
well, on Facebook, which is fine. On Facebook, it's crazy. Okay, so Hudson Tansey told me how he only will accept a friend request from somebody he meets in person. I think that's pretty cool. I did it the wrong way. I just started accepting friend requests. So I don't know. I don't know if I did it. I don't know if that's wrong or not. But it kind of makes me worried. Anyway, so Facebook, I'm Ryan Bunt. You see that right there? That's my name. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't you kind of worry if you got just random people watching your family and stuff in another country that you don't even know that say they do PDR but they really don't. I don't put
You're
enough
right.
online though. I don't really care.
You're very right. You're very right. You know.
That's just what was told to me at MTE. MTE just opened me up to everything. I saw the whole industry and it was great. I mean, um,
So it's
it
at
was
Dent Guy Rye for
yeah
Instagram.
yeah. Gray Duck's got it. John
You're,
Vadine's there
yeah, the
shouting it out.
Vidiner, the Reaper.
Yeah, it's Dent Guy Rye. That's what I came up with.
I,
That's what I came up with back
I
then.
would love to
It
steal
stuck.
it.
You know? And, well, yeah, I know you could, couldn't you? Just two Ryans make a right tonight.
That's it, man. So go to his page, follow him. He's doing big things. It's good to watch a younger guy coming on up and trying to figure
How
it
young
out.
do you think I am, though?
I think you're
I
like
gotta ask.
22.
Man, you were so close. I'm
Come on.
35.
Okay. We're doing good. We're doing good. I
35.
can't add anyway, so we're doing great. So like I said, I really appreciate you coming on. I reached out to you 2-3 weeks ago and I said, hey, I want to get you on the show. And you're like, you just made my week. You were
Yeah,
shocked,
that was.
I was like,
Yeah.
I enjoyed
Well,
your
yeah, I
company. It
wasn't
was a lot of
expecting
fun.
that. I was not expecting that call, so that was pretty cool. It's been crazy just anticipating this whole thing. But I'd love to come on again anytime. You don't have anybody to come on, I'll come on and talk too much with you
Hey,
anytime.
two guys, two Ryes can't be
Two
bad,
Ryans, yeah, can't be bad. Nope.
So I appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys in here. Go follow Dent Guy Rye. And
Thanks,
remember,
guys.
guys, keep it real. I will see you next week on Thursday at 9 Eastern Standard Time. If you're going to those seminars, go check them out. And I will see you guys. Have a great night. Keep it real.
See you guys.
See you guys.